I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Planning, Programming, and Zoning Commission to order. First item is approval of the March 5th, 2013 agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded for approval of the agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
We have an agenda for today. Next item is the approval of minutes from the regular meeting on February 5th, 2013. Does anybody have any corrections or comments to those minutes? Hearing none, look for a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And next is financial report. Staff?
This is Anderson with staff, and we are at, this is fiscal year to date, January 31st, 2013, so we're at 58% of the year. As you can see going through it, some things are kind of paid in advance on a one-time payment, so some of them are a little bit over the 58%, like the first section at 62%, whereas others are paid as you go for equipment, paper, things like that. We're pretty much in line with all accounts, close to the 58% mark, both in revenue and expenditures.
Questions for staff on the financial report? See none, look for a motion to place that in file, send to council.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Next item is oral presentations. This is for anybody in the audience that'd like to speak for anything that's not on today's agenda. Seeing none, we'll move on to our agenda items. Time is now 4:05, and a hearing is scheduled at this time. There's a request by Philip Douglas to rezone 1.33 acres from R2, 1 and 2 family residence district, to CP Planned Commercial District for the purpose of constructing a 60-foot by 120-foot commercial building located at the southwest corner of Martin Luther King Jr. Drive and Idaho Street. At this time, we should receive and place on file a statement of verification signed by Patty McGee stating, I, Patty McGee, do hereby certify that a copy of the attached letter, site plan, aerial photos, and drawings was mailed to each individual on the attached list by regular mail on February 22nd, 2013. Can I have a motion to receive and place this notice on file?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
For those of you that wish, that motion carries. For those of you who wish to speak for or against this request, we ask that you come to the microphone, identify yourself with name and address. The members of the commission should also identify themselves before speaking into the microphone. Staff report.
This is Western with staff. The area in question has a mix of uses which include R2, 1 and 2 family residence district to the north, CP Planned Commercial District to the northeast, R3 RP Planned Multifamily Residential District immediately to the east, which includes a recently approved hobby farm. To the south, there is a railroad line separating the area in question from Highland Park, which is zoned R2 1 and 2 family district. It would appear that there would not be a negative impact on the surrounding area. The property is located at the southwest corner of Martin Luther King Jr. Drive and Idaho Street. Martin Luther King Jr. Drive is classified as a major arterial, while Idaho Street is classified as a minor arterial street. There is a sidewalk along the east side of Idaho Street and a bike walkway along the north side of Martin Luther King Jr. Drive. The proposed rezone and construction of a commercial building on the site in question would not appear to have a negative impact on the pedestrian or vehicular traffic in the area. There is a bike walkway along the north side of Martin Luther King Jr. Drive that includes a trailhead at the northeast corner of Idaho and Martin Luther King Jr. Drive. The bike walkway runs east and west from North Elk Run Road to the corner of Vine and Lane Streets. It would appear that the proposed rezone and construction of a commercial building would not have a negative impact on the trail. The proposed rezone area is currently zoned R2, 1 and 2 family residence district, and has been zoned such since the adoption of the ordinance adopted in 1969. The area in question has seen very little new development. The area in question has a mix of uses which includes C1 immediately to the north, CP Planned Commercial to the northeast, R3RP Planned Multifamily Residential District immediately to the east, which includes a recently approved hobby farm. To the south, there is a railroad line separating the area in question from Highland Park, which is Zone R2, one of two family residence district. At this time, there would not appear to be a need for any screening. The appropriate draining plans would have to be submitted with any site plans before a building permit is issued. The future land use map designates this area as mixed commercial, medium to high density residential, and professional offices. The construction of a commercial building would appear to be in conformance with the future land use map, land use plan, and comprehensive plan. Staff feels that by requiring the CP planned commercial district, the proposed project can be carefully reviewed by the planning staff, planning and zoning commission, and city council to ensure that the proposed building will fit in with current and future developments. The proposed rezone would comprise of 1.3 acres owned by the applicant. The applicant has submitted a site plan indicating a 60-foot by 120-foot commercial building to be constructed on the site. The site in question has a home that was demolished in 2008 by the present owner. There are two remaining garages on the site that were built in 1916 and 2007. Accessory structures without a permitted use, such as a home, are not allowed in residentially zoned districts, which is the reason for the request to rezone from R2 1 and 2 family residence district to CP planned commercial district. Therefore, this rezone will not only allow the building of a new structure, but will legalize the two existing garages on the site. City code requires that a structure that disturbs 5,000 square feet or more will be required to have a stormwater retention plan submitted to the engineering department prior to permit being issued. The applicant has agreed to submit such plans when and if the rezone request is approved. The portion of the requested area to be rezoned was formerly owned by the city of Waterloo and was sold to the applicant. The portion is labeled Parcel C in the plat of survey and was a disposal parcel that remained after the construction of MLK Junior Drive. As required, staff did offer the disposal parcel to the original property owner, who declined to purchase the parcel from the city. Staff has met with the builder, Jim Blackledge, to discuss the overall aesthetic look of the building so as to ensure that the building will have a quality professional look in a highly visible corner location. It was decided that the building will have wainscoting, contrasting corner trim, 2 sliding doors, windows on the east and north sides of the building. Therefore, staff recommends that the request to rezone approximately 1.3 acres from R2 1 and 2 family residence district to CP planned commercial district for the purpose of constructing a 60-foot by 120-foot commercial building at the southwest corner of Martin Luther King Jr. Drive and Idaho Street be approved for the following reasons. The proposed storage facility would not appear to be out of character with the area, nor would it have a negative impact on the neighborhood, and subject to the following conditions: that the final site plan meet all requirements, including but not limited to drainage, landscaping, screening, hard surface vehicle use areas, etc., and that there be wainscoting surrounding the entire building, including the sliding doors, that there be contrasting corner trim, and at least 2 windows on the east side and north sides of the building. Are there any questions for staff?
Anybody in the audience like to speak for or against this rezone request?
I'm Jim Blackledge with Iowa Upholstery Builders. I don't think I really have anything to add. Basically, Chris has covered everything. We had a meeting with Noel and pretty much ironed out those matters. This person owns other property in Waterloo, and he actually lives in California, but he has family ties here in Waterloo, so. Thank you.
Questions for Mr. Blackledge?
Yeah, this is Rankin. Is there a business that's going in there, or is it just for storage?
It's basically for his own personal storage.
Storage, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else like to speak for or against the rezone request? Seeing none, look for a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
The hearing is closed. Bring it back to the commission for discussion or recommendation.
I recommend that we move to rezone the property with the following, with the conditions made by staff.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the rezone request, subject to the staff conditions. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. That rezone request is approved, and we'll move on to council. Next item on our agenda is another rezone request. And the time is now 4:14. And this is a request by Community United Child Care Centers, Inc. to rezone 3610 Ainsborough Avenue from R1, 1 and 2 Family Residence District to R1CZ, Conditional Zoning 1 and 2 Family Residence District, for the purpose of maintaining the use of the property as a child care facility. At this time, we should receive and place on file a statement of verification signed by Patty McGee, stating, I, Patty McGee, do hereby certify that a copy of the attached letter and aerial photos was mailed to each individual on the attached list by regular mail on February 22nd, 2013. We have a motion to receive and place this notice on file?
So moved.
Moved
Second.
and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries. For those of you who wish to speak for or against this request, we ask that you please come to the microphone and identify yourself by name and address. The members of the commission should also identify themselves prior to speaking into the microphones. Staff report.
Sandera staff, this is a request to rezone approximately 4.36 acres of land from R1, 1 and 2 Family Residence District, to R1CZ Conditional Zoning District located at 3610 Ainsborough Avenue. Site in question is zoned R1 and has been zoned as such since the adoption of the zoning ordinance. Surrounding land uses in their zoning are as follows. To the north, Cedar Valley Community Church, zoned R3 Multiple Residence District. To the south, Solenic Park and Single Family Homes, zoned R1. To the east, Single Family Housing, zoned R1. And to the west, Single Family Housing, zoned R1. Proposed rezone area consists of 4.36 acres of land located at 3610 Ainsborough Avenue at the southwest corner of Ainsborough Avenue and Ridgemont Road. Applicant is requesting the rezone to bring the property into compliance with its current use as a child care facility. It is unknown when the child care facility came into operation at this site. The child care facility currently rents the building from the Waterloo Community School District. A commercial daycare is not permitted use within the R1, 1 and 2 Family Residence District, and is not permitted use until the R3 Multiple Residence District. Staff has received a petition from surrounding neighbors and noted that they do not object to the daycare center at the former Westridge School site, as well as not objecting to a limited expansion of the building for the daycare use. Staff estimates that the school was closed in the late 1970s or early 80s. Surrounding neighbors also questioned the zoning change from R1, 1 and 2 Family Residence District, and stressed that some sort of conditional zoning be placed upon the property to help protect the surrounding properties from a more intense use being able to go into the site. If the site were rezoned to R3 Multiple Residence District, it would allow for the uses as multiple family developments, boarding and lodging houses, group homes and mobile home parks after approval of a special permit by the Board of Adjustment, and nonprofit institutions, etc. Surrounding neighborhoods have concerns that if the property were rezoned as such, that it could potentially have a negative impact upon the surrounding area by allowing more intense uses to be housed in the building. It is staff's recommendation that the request to rezone from R1, 1 and 2 Family Residence District to R1CZ Conditional Zoning District be approved for the following reasons. One, the site in question would appear to provide sufficient space to meet all required regulations, including setbacks, drainage, landscaping, screening, etc. Two, the rezone area in question can be served by existing utilities in the area, and subject to the following condition, that the use of the site shall be limited to a child care facility and any use permitted in the R1, 1 and 2 Family Residence District.
Any questions for staff? Anybody in the audience like to speak for or against this rezone request?
I'm Matt Kraft. I'm the attorney for Community United Child Care Center. Just wanted to state we agree with the staff recommendation. Community United has been there, it'll be 20 years come July 1st. Prior to that, Area 267 was in there. So I think this has been, the existing use of it for quite some time. This is just bringing the zoning into compliance with that existing use. But otherwise, like I said, the R1CZ designation is just fine, and we certainly agree with the staff recommendation.
Thanks. Great. Anybody else like to speak for or against the rezone? Seeing none, look for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Bring it back to the commission for discussion. Recommendation.
This is Rankin. The slide that was up there previously looked different than what's in the packet here as far as the area. Is that, there's a chunk to the west end of that property that's within the red line on that slide where it's different in the packet. I just wondered, are we rezoning the whole parcel, or?
This is Schrader with staff. We are not rezoning the entire parcel. When the application was submitted, they did submit a legal description that came with the application. We did not initially catch that legal description did not describe the entire parcel. So when we sent out our technical review packet, which goes to department heads and other entities, it included a map that showed the whole property. We did get that corrected for the packet that was mailed out to the commissioners. I guess there was a technical error in that the map that got put up on the screen includes stuff from the tech packet rather than the planning commission packet that was mailed out. But based on what the school district is proposing to sell to Community United Child Care, based off that legal description, it does exclude the, I don't have the exact dimension, but it's basically about 8.5 or 9.5 feet west of the western end of the existing parking lot, which is probably some 200 to 220 feet east of the far westerly lot line. So that far west portion will not be included with the rezone, and there is discussion for the school district to convey that to the city of Waterloo to essentially be an extension of the Selenic Park.
Thanks. Other comments, discussion, motions?
Make a motion to approve the rezone request, subject to that one staff recommendation.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the rezone request with the one staff condition. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That rezone request is approved, and we'll move on to council. Next item on our agenda is a special permit. This is a request by Greg Steelsmith for a special permit to establish a non-limited alcohol sales use on-premises consumption at 924 LaPorte Road. Staff report?
This is Paul with staff. The applicants are proposing to open a dance club-bar and request that it is granted non-limited status, allowing them to have more than 50% of their sales be from the sale of alcohol. It would appear the request would not have a negative impact on the area. The proposed non-limited establishment is located 125 feet east from a protected use, which would be the closest residence, and 230 feet from another non-limited establishment, but it is adequately screened from both of those uses, and it is within a commercial development along a commercial corridor next to Highway 218. The site in question is zoned C2 Commercial District and has been since the adoption of the zoning ordinance. To the north, retail use is zoned C2 along LaPorte Road and residences behind them off Dina Street. To the south, retail use is zoned C2 along LaPorte and residences behind them. To the west, 2.3-acre mini storage site with homes located further to the west. To the east is LaPorte Road and Highway 218, and commercial industrial uses east of the highway. Staff has some concern as it does not meet the setback requirement for both protected uses and other non-limited alcohol sales establishments. However, the request does appear to be unique. The location in question is a commercial location, as the site in question has not been operating as a non-limited alcohol sales use, so the applicants would be required to obtain a special permit. In order to avoid the special permit process, a location must be located along a principal arterial or highway, must be at least 250 feet away from any protected use, including residents, schools, churches, etc., and at least 250 feet away from any other non-limited establishments. The proposed location is located along Port Road, which is adjacent to Highway 218, but the proposed location is only 125 feet away from a residence, 125 feet fewer, and 230 feet from a non-limited use, from another non-limited use at 1915 Borland, which is Fusion Bar, 20 feet less than the minimum required. However, the proposed location is within an existing commercial strip mall development, which would appear to completely screen the use from any adjacent residential uses. And although the use is only 230 feet away from another non-limited use measured from the property line, it's over 310 feet if measured from building to building. The applicants have indicated they intend to open a dance club-bar at the location in the former location of Tasmania Tan. Location would only appear to have access from LaPorte Road. It would not appear to have any access from the rear of the building, which would appear to act as a natural buffer from any nearby residential. Staff would note the location appears to be unique as it is located along a commercial corridor in the middle of a strip mall, along a highway, and it is buffered from the nearby residential by a mini storage development, and also another store in the strip mall. A similar request was heard at February's meeting for a proposed non-limited use at 2000 Hawthorne. Staff recommended conditional one-year approval of the request, but would recommend that this request is approved without conditional status. This request appears to be different from the as the location is in the middle of an existing strip mall that adjoins the highway and is buffered from residential use, not only from the existing building in the strip mall, but from mini storage development. In addition, the only access would be off LaPorte Road, well away from any residential development. Therefore, staff recommends the request for the special permit to approve a non-limited alcohol sales use with on-premise consumption at 1924 LaPorte be approved for the following reasons. The proposed location is along a commercial corridor in the middle of a strip mall along a highway, and the site is buffered from nearby residential by a mini storage development and also another store in the strip mall. And the access to the premises can only be gained from the east, which is along LaPorte Road, from the east side of the building. Questions for staff?
Questions for staff? Hearing none, anybody in the audience like to speak for or against this special permit?
My name is Rosella Thompson. I live at 1911 Borland Avenue, right next to the Trucker Fusion Bar, which is 35 feet from my house. We already are saturated with bars in our area, so I'm wondering why anybody would approve putting another bar. And I don't even think they're 100 feet from the first residential home on Mitchell. And I thought there was a moratorium on alcohol, opening a new bar. Am I wrong?
Staff would note that with the adoption of the new alcohol regulations, I believe it was last November, the moratorium has been lifted, so they have to go through this special permit process, which involves going to planning and zoning first, and then it will go to the Board of Adjustment with a recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission. The Board of Adjustment will make the ultimate decision.
My concern is if this establishment is approved and they also have music. The bar next to me, when they first moved in, had music, and it was a living hell. And I'm afraid if they get wind of this, if they do approve it, it is not going to be a good situation. The bar next to me had like 68 police calls in the first year they were there. And when they finally cut out the music, it's been livable. So I'm hoping you don't approve this license. Thank you.
My name is Ray Munger, and we have property at 1910 Mitchell, right behind that, where you want to put that Right now it is a rental property, and I would say that if you want to put a detriment to renting any kind of property, which is basically a lot of our retirement, if you want to basically destroy any way of possibility of running a house next to a bar, and this would be pretty ridiculous to put this in this position. And like a facility, you should think twice about actually putting that. And there's houses right across the street, right, when there are children over that way. And I've been around the horn a few times, and I would guarantee you that this type of establishment that doesn't close down at 9 o'clock at night, you'll be finding that'll be open until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, but traffic going in and out of that down Mitchell and down LaPorte Road making all kinds of noise. You think that's going to be a type of a thing where you're going to be able to rent property? I don't think so. So I say, like I said, this is not any kind of a desirable type anymore. That we do not want anything like that in our neighborhood again. So, and I know there's been other bars in that area. Oh, we don't need another one. That's for damn sure. So I think should think twice about, okay, in this type of establishment in this area. I think it's ridiculous.
Thank you.
My name's Vicki Minard, and I live at 941 Wisconsin, right behind the storage units you were speaking about. Those storage units aren't going to stop all the noise, and they're not going to stop all the, what my neighbor was talking about, all the 2 o'clock up and down Mitchell. I don't understand, why you'd even consider it. We are saturated with bars. There's 6 of them in about a 3/4 mile area. We do not need a bar. And I'm really asking you to consider this and say no.
Thanks.
I'm Nick Puffett at 1909 Borland. I guess my main concern is with the heavy saturation of bars in the area. We have Vic's at the end of Borland Avenue there, and then the Fusion Bar on Borland, and then now this one on Mitchell. That creates quite a pocket of bars there, and there's going to be people walking back and forth between the bars all the time. And the Fusion Bar has been bad enough for our property values in that area. It's been a mess having that thing there with noise late at night and people walking around up and down the street. It just makes you not feel as safe as we used to. And then to have these people walking back and forth, they'll probably use the alley right beside Trucker Bar to walk back and forth beside the CarQuest Auto Parts there, right next to our properties all the time. It just doesn't create a very, obviously, good situation for our property values or a place to raise a family with people, up till 2 or 3 in the morning walking back and forth behind there.
I think that was everybody. Let's bring it back to the commission for discussion.
This is Tackett. I would agree with that. I don't live too far from there, but I do work a 3rd shift job, and so I do hear what you're saying. My main concern is when I saw that it is a dance club, the noise levels alone, and you're right, they do not close at 2 o'clock because I work until 4 a.m., and I will have people come in well into 3:30, very loud, very disorderly. They do go down the alley. Not everyone, but there will be a few, and it just takes a few. And I do agree. I think it's overly saturated. And my other concern is, since we put it in, the difference between the one on Hawthorne is, my understanding was, is so he could be in compliance, and we're talking chicken wings and more of a food concern. This one, I just think it's a bad fit for that whole strip mall, and I do agree that if we put that in, I think you'll see the area decline in value, and we're really trying to build things up, and I have many concerns for that. So I do agree with the residents, and I think if they were going to put in that type of establishment, the downtown, I think, would be a better fit, or somewhere where you are away from the residents and you're in compliance with the 250-foot thing that we have set in place.
Any other discussion, comments? Hearing none, look for a motion.
I move that we deny the request.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to deny the the special permit We'll do a roll call vote just to be safe. Anderson?
So a vote of yes is to deny.
Correct.
A vote of no would be to not deny.
Correct.
Cox?
Yes.
Whitehead?
Yes.
Tackett?
Yes.
Rankin?
No.
Meehy?
Yes.
Morrison?
Yes.
5-1.
5-1.
The special permit is denied, 5-1. So does that go on, that will go on to Board of Adjustment yet for their, unless the applicant withdraws, so that'll go on to that. Will they receive notice on that, when that meeting is? Do we know when it is? We can.
It will be on the 28th, before Tuesday, I think, 28th. Is that right? 26th, that's all.
Yeah, 4 p.m. at 26th.
Correct, it'll be right here.
All right, thank you. Next item on our agenda is discussion. Staff have anything for us? Hearing none, look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, we are adjourned.